California's new workplace violence prevention law requires employers to develop strategies to avoid physical harm to their employees from workplace violence. In this video, the second in my series on strategies to avoid physical harm, we'll look at why de-escalation training must be a critical part of your workplace violence prevention training program. And we'll go over some simple de-escalation techniques. Hi, I'm Mike Corwin, the owner of Help You Be Safe, LLC. I help employers design, implement, and maintain an effective workplace violence prevention program to help keep their employees safe from violence. I learned de-escalation skills during the 30+ years that I worked as an investigator conducting civil and criminal litigation investigations in some of our nation's most dangerous areas. I served many hundreds of court papers, which at times can get pretty tense. I developed and I used de-escalation skills as a way to bring down the intensity and to keep myself safe during those stressful encounters. I also investigated many workplace violence-related incidents, and my approach to workplace violence prevention draws heavily upon what I learned from working on those many cases. California requires employers to have a workplace violence prevention program in place by July 1, 2024. I've got a useful tool to help you get started developing your program, my free workplace violence prevention checklist. It's a roadmap that you can follow as you develop a workplace violence prevention plan. Just click in the link in the description below. De-escalation is your last best chance to avoid physical engagement. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security defines de-escalation as the use of communication or other techniques during an encounter to stabilize, slow, or reduce the intensity of a potentially violent situation without using physical force or with a reduction in force. Basically, it's the process of calming a tense situation before it turns violent. Next to situational awareness, de-escalation is the most important element of a strategy to avoid physical harm from workplace violence. And that is because it's your last best chance to avoid physical engagement. It's critical for employees to develop de-escalation skills because literally any work that involves other people can lead to emotions spiraling out of control followed by violence. And that can happen not just with those you work, but with those you provide services to and their families, and even to total strangers that you encounter while you are out doing your work. Will de-escalation work? De-escalation will not work in every circumstance. There are no hard and fast rules. Some situations will turn violent regardless of what you do to try to prevent that from happening. And in those situations, defending yourself or others is the best way to avoid physical harm. But whenever possible, de-escalation is worth trying. But here's the catch. You may have only seconds to know if de-escalation has a chance to work or if an attack is imminent. An attack can happen in seconds, so you'll need to be able to assess the likelihood of being able to de-escalate as quickly as possible. Here are some clues to help you decide quickly if de-escalation has a chance to work. Is the person trying to close distance? If an angry person moves closer to you, even if it's in small increments, he's positioning to attack you. He's likely past the point of de-escalation. However, if he does not close in, regardless of anything he says or gestures he makes, you may be able to de-escalate. Is the person physically tensing? Do you notice his shoulders rising, his hands clenching, or other indicators that he's what I call coiling or tensing? Then an attack is likely. The tensing is a signal from the brain to prepare the body to engage. If you don't see tensing, you may still be able to de-escalate before it turns violent. Has he gone silent but remains visibly angry? Our brain has a hard time engaging in physical actions when we're focused on listening or speaking. So if an angry person suddenly goes quiet or nearly quiet while remaining tense, an attack is more probable than not. If the person continues to talk, you have a chance to lessen the tension before it turns violent. Is his gaze locked on you? If the escalating person is staring directly at you rather than periodically looking around or away from you, he's more likely than not going to attack. He's literally zeroing in on you in preparation to launch. If you notice he's looking around, that's an indicator to try de-escalation. De-escalation basics. The tells we just looked at are to help you recognize if de-escalation may be possible. Now we'll cover some basic de-escalation techniques and how to use them. Breathe. In tense situations, it can be easy to hold your breath. Don't. Breathing keeps oxygen flowing to your brain and helps you to remain calm so that you can speak and act calmly during a tense situation. Use reflective listening. Reflective listening is paraphrasing back what someone says. It helps de-escalate by providing a visible way that shows you're listening to that person. Many angry and agitated people just want to be heard. Saying, "I hear you," or "I see what you're saying" before paraphrasing back can be effective. Reflective listening also helps with de-escalation as it transitions a person from speaking to listening, even if he doesn't want to do so. And when he's listening to you, he's not launching an attack. You can say something like, "So what you're saying is," or "Let me make sure I understand what you're saying," and then repeat back to the person what he just said. Answer a question with a question. Again, the concept here is to redirect his thoughts away from violence, and answering a question with a question can cause that to occur. You can ask something like, "How so?" or you can simply just ask, "Really?" in response to a statement. Use your own body language to depict calm. We can unknowingly escalate a tense situation through our own body language. Things like staring too long or standing too close to an agitated person can do that. Clenching your hands into a fist, which someone might do reflexively without even thinking about it from fear of an attack, is actually more likely to increase the threat of an attack than to calm things down. With what I call the safe stance. Hands are open and palms are facing towards the angry person. This is how we show calm down in a physical way. And holding your hands in this manner not only helps with de-escalation, but it still allows you to defend yourself if necessary. Constantly monitor his reaction and response. Don't assume that your de-escalation techniques are working automatically. Monitor that person's body language and actions, looking for tells to indicate if it is or isn't working. As long as he has not closed the distance towards you, keep trying to de-escalate, even if your efforts seem to not be working. Just remember, the key to de-escalation is to try to shift his thoughts away from an attack. Are you ready to get started on developing the required workplace violence prevention program by the July 1, 2024 deadline? I've got a useful tool to help you get started developing your program. Download my free workplace violence prevention checklist. It's a great roadmap for you to follow as you develop a workplace violence prevention plan. Just click on the link in the description below. In the final part of the 3 parts on strategies to avoid physical harm, we'll go over what your employees should know about defending themselves to keep from being physically harmed during an incident of workplace violence.